Following reports that U.S. officials are considering laws that could require businesses to acquire government approval before exporting powerful artificial intelligence processors to most nations, shares of Nvidia and powerful microdevices fell roughly 1% on Friday morning. The plan might broaden the scope of existing export restrictions beyond a select few countries and establish a more comprehensive licensing system supervised by the U.S. Commerce Department. According to the idea, before completing overseas sales, businesses exporting AI accelerators used in data centers might require license from Washington. Among the top suppliers of the specialized processors needed for artificial intelligence are Nvidia and advanced micro devices. As the name suggests, these graphics processing units, GPUs, were first created to enhance the visuals in video games. However, as AI became more widely used, these semiconductors shown comparable proficiency in speeding up AI computation, which increased demand for the chips. However, the Trump administration's proposed laws might be a significant blow to AI development. Permit me to view your registration and license. According to a Bloomberg article, U.S. officials are debating regulations that would mandate that Nvidia, AMD, and other companies get government approval prior to exporting any AI processors. According to the proposed restrictions, businesses would have to ask the U.S. Department of Commerce for permission before exporting any chips intended for artificial intelligence. Licenses for the distribution of these AI accelerators would be granted after the approval process was finished. By establishing a tiered licensing structure according to the magnitude of the deployment, the regulations would go one step further. Medium-sized installations would need pre-clearance prior to applying for a license. Large deployments of 200,000 GPUs or more would need certifications from host country government officials, and smaller shipments of 1,000 GPUs or less would be subject to a quick examination. Strict security standards and pledges to fund U.S. AI would be part of these ratifications. For nations it considers a national security danger, the U.S. government already has export limits in place. These nations include, among others, Iran, North Korea, China, and Russia. President Trump imposed a 25% tariff on the sale of AI-focused processors to China. Nvidia has been attempting to get back into the market. A clear reminder of the risks is provided by Nvidia's experience in China. In order to undertake a study, the Trump administration limited the sale of AI chips to China in April 2025. China responded by limiting the use of processors manufactured in China, going ahead and prohibiting the use of foreign chips in data centers supported by the government. The back and forth started about a year ago, and sales of semiconductors to China haven't started up again. To put the expense of the previous round of export bans in perspective, Nvidia sold $17 billion worth of chips to China in 2024, which accounted for 13% of total sales. The great majority of Nvidia's sales last year were directly related to AI, and the company's revenue increased by 65% year over year to $216 billion. AMD made $35 billion, a 34% increase in revenue. There is therefore a great deal on the line. It's crucial to remember that the proposed regulations are still subject to revision or may be abandoned entirely. However, if these rules are implemented, it may impede the development of AI-focused companies like AMD, Nvidia, and others. As things progress, investors will want to closely monitor the situation. The past few months have been relatively dull, considering how dominant Nvidia has been over the past few years. The stock has risen a comparatively small 5% since August 1, 2025. In the same time frame, the S&P 500 has risen by roughly 10%. For many investors, including me, this is disheartening given Nvidia has been announcing incredible outcomes along the road. Actually, it's been a while since Nvidia's stock was so inexpensive. I believe that the low price of Nvidia's stock is a definite buy signal, and investors should think about buying in bulk now. History has shown us that this is the right time to buy Nvidia stock. How to evaluate Nvidia stock is the key question. Investors can employ a variety of valuation strategies, such as trailing or future earnings. Although one-time charges might have an impact on trailing profits, which are typically a good method to price a stock, Nvidia had to write down semiconductor inventory that was supposed to be shipped to China in Q1 of last year. The forward earnings indicator, which is based on analyst forecasts, is an additional option. These are estimates, and a business may fall short of them or surpass them. Despite the obvious shortcomings of each of these measures, I believe that combining them is a fantastic method to determine a stock's current valuation. In terms of price to earnings, Nvidia's stock is currently trading at almost the same low points as it was during the tariff sell-off in April 2025. In just 4 months, if you purchased the stock on April 1st, you saw a rapid 57% return. It's not a bad position, and investors would be ecstatic if Nvidia could replicate such a run. In addition, although 37 times earnings could seem like a lot of money, it's actually not that much when compared to several other well-known investments. The price of Costco is 54 times its trailing earnings. With 37.2 times earnings, Walmart is nearly identical. Regarding technology, Amazon and Apple are valued at 31 and 33 times trailing earnings, respectively. None of these businesses are expanding quite as quickly as Nvidia, and none of them are seeing the kind of enormous tailwinds that Nvidia is experiencing as a result of the development of artificial intelligence, AI. Furthermore, because of the one-time effect from Q1 of last year, its trailing profits indicator is inflated. Therefore, it is unfair to claim that Nvidia is overpriced at 37 times trailing earnings. The company is a good option to think about right now, and I wouldn't be shocked if it returned to a 50 times earnings value at some point in 2026. How much will it be worth in the future? From a forward earnings perspective, Nvidia appears to be a great deal. The forward earnings value indicates that Nvidia's stock is incredibly cheap. It is nearly identical in price to the S&P 500, which trades at 21.9 times ahead earnings, at 22.1 times forward earnings. Nvidia's sales increased by 73% year-over-year in the most recent quarter. It is anticipated to expand at a 77% rate in the upcoming quarter. It doesn't seem like a business that ought to be valued at a premium to the market, but that's precisely where Nvidia is. Furthermore, Nvidia's profits aren't going anywhere anytime soon because the AI rollout is anticipated to continue at least until 2030. Therefore, I believe that this is the ideal moment to begin acquiring Nvidia stock. I won't be shocked if Nvidia's stock takes off in 2026 and returns to its typical valuation levels, providing shareholders with exceptional returns. Investors shouldn't wait too long or they risk missing a fantastic investing opportunity, as history shows that Nvidia's stock doesn't remain depressed for very long. Wall Street pays attention to what UBS says about Nvidia. Timothy Arcuri, a UBS analyst, reaffirmed his buy recommendation for Nvidia in a research note with a price objective of $245. Compared to the share price at the time, that represents an almost 40% increase. The conversation was made following Arcuri's meeting with Colette Kress, the CFO of Nvidia, at a UBS semiconductor bus tour. He was not alarmed by what he heard. It increased him confidence. This is the source of that confidence. For the fourth quarter of fiscal 2026, Nvidia reported record quarterly sales of $68.1 billion. That is up 20% from the previous quarter and increased 73% from a year ago. It was almost $2 billion more than Wall Street's $66.2 billion projection. Revenue from data centers was $62.3 billion, a 75% increase over the previous year. At 75%, gross margins remained stable. It's the final number that counts. For months, skeptics have been forecasting a strain on margins from competitors such as Broadcom and Google. It hasn't occurred. During the earnings call, CEO Jensen Huang was blunt. "The demand for computing is increasing at an exponential rate," he remarked. He maintained that computing has essentially turned into income for cloud providers and that the era of agentic AI has here. Good outcomes are one thing. The advice was a very different matter. For the first quarter of fiscal 2027, Nvidia anticipated $78 billion in revenue. $72.6 billion was anticipated by Wall Street. It's not just rear-view numbers. It's a huge beat on forward guidance. Additionally, growth accelerated for the fourth quarter in a row. Commitments to inventory purchases almost quadrupled from quarter to quarter, according to UBS. A quarterly revenue run of $100 billion is now a reality. This was the most incisive thing Arcuri learned from his talk with Kress. Nvidia's GPUs are the focus of most investors. According to UBS, the networking industry is the underdog. AI data centers are increasingly relying on Nvidia's Bluefield CPUs and Spectrum-X Ethernet switches. They are intricately linked to the infrastructure of their clients. They are therefore quite difficult to tear out. UBS left feeling more assured about this market's ability to generate long-term profits. In Q4, networking revenue increased by almost 263% year over year. That one market is already on track to grow into a multi-billion-dollar industry unrelated to GPU sales. No sincere bull case overlooks the drawbacks. The day following its spectacular report, Nvidia's shares actually dropped 5.5%. In a single session, that wiped around $260 billion in market value. High standards come at a price. Another major obstacle is China. A once significant source of income has been cut off by export restrictions. Nvidia stated that it is not assuming any data center compute income from China in its own Q1 guidance release. While some of that vacuum is being filled by sovereign AI agreements in the Middle East and India, there is still a gap. On March 18th, Nvidia's GTC conference will begin. It is viewed by UBS and the majority of optimistic analysts as the next big stock catalyst. It is anticipated that Nvidia will reveal its next-generation Rubin GPU architecture. According to Huang, the cost of AI inference could be reduced by up to 10 times compared to Blackwell. In order to implement Rubin-based systems first, the business has already announced collaborations with AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and Oracle. UBS is by no means an isolated voice. 37 of the 39 analysts suggest purchasing Nvidia. $273.38 is the average price target. The price of Morgan Stanley is $260. The price of RBC Capital is $250. UBS's financial results are clear-cut. Hyperscalers aren't retreating. They are currently locking in computing build-outs till 2027. Spending on AI is not decreasing. It's speeding up. The demand issue has been resolved for Nvidia. How quickly supply can keep up is the only question that remains. Don't forget to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your input helps create a more knowledgeable community where we can all learn and grow together in the world of investing. Stay up to date with the latest market trends, insights, and key updates by subscribing to Investing Tutorial. We're here to help you make smarter investment decisions and stay ahead of the curve.
I think the central question remains whether to buy the dip or not, because these moments, as we know, they cause volatility. We know that. They often don't cause worse, okay? So I would suggest that these moments can be, for many, paralyzing. They can also be opportunistic. What do you think?
I think, what's your time horizon, right? I think that's what investors need to ask, what your time horizon. And buy the dip, it's like we have so many sectors to buy the dip. Do you want to buy software dip? Do you want to buy financial dip? Do you want to buy the Korean dip, private credit dip? And so there's a lot of opportunity, whereas the S&P is still flat for the year. I think the equal weight's up about 5. And so I do think that, especially within software, the software ETF, all those stocks look identical from a chart, which tells me that there's a lot of opportunity there. I think also financials are another opportunity there. So I think there's lots of spots that people can go in, do their own work, and buy some individual names that have been unjustly, let's say, sold off and where fundamentals aren't meeting the actual reality that the stock is trading today.
We'll get through a bunch of the different sector moves because they are interesting today. I love the context that you put, and at times like this, context is more important than anything. The S&P's down 0.2% on the year. So we've run a lot and we've gone nowhere. What do we do as we look at the backdrop, what's happening geopolitically, and we realize that the story at home is still good? And until that changes, why would you react to something so far away, even as serious as it is?
So if you're asking me, should you panic and go jump headfirst into it? No,
I'm not asking you if you should panic.
No, of course not. Of course
that wasn't
okay.
the question.
So,
whether you should panic.
Okay, I misinterpreted. Of course, the market looks forward. The market has been through its share of wars and skirmishes and geopolitical events, and generally, if you look a few months later, generally, it's calmed down and something has reverted back to at whatever level we were previously. So this is another example where we have sort of an explosion, literally and figuratively, that the market goes into some sort of oh my God phase. But here we are, and it's a few days later, and companies are reporting, and Broadcom had good numbers, and Nvidia and Jensen Huang talked about where they're selling their chips and what those chips will be doing, and the software stocks were oversold, and people are buying them, and the non-software or heavy-duty industrials, et cetera, were a bit overbought, and so people are selling them. And that's the way I would interpret it.
You kind of answered my question in a sense when you talked about, unless there's some kind of, oh my God, moment, you think about what are those moments at times like this, right? Is it oil to 100? Is that okay, now you got to start thinking about the inflation picture, the ripple effects into the economy picture, and all of the ancillary things that would obviously be impacted by a spike in oil to that magnitude, the Strait of Hormuz being closed or ships actually being attacked or things that would change the calculus. My point and my question at the top is X that. Do you sit back and you say these are moments that have great opportunity along with them for long-term investors, like ostensibly most of the ones who watch our program, despite the tactical nature of some and the various things that people do differently than some others?
For sure.